Welcome to the first appointment of the series Coffee with the Techy Doctor. Thanks for watching. This is the series of Coffee with the Techy Doctor that we will have informal appointments, and we will talk about life sciences technology with some experts. My name is Pedro Lledo. I will be the host of this series. They call me Techy Doctor because I'm a physician in Spain, but also I have a degree in computer sciences and more than 25 years of experience in the pharmaceutical industry with lots of experience in life science technology. Today, our current first appointment, it's called eTMF, your key to success, the inspection readiness. And I'm proud to present our first guest, which is who is Ken Lownie. He is an expert in life science software from Agatha. Hello, Ken. How are you today? And welcome to this appointment. Could you please tell us something about yourself?
Sure. And hi, Pedro, and thank you for inviting me in for coffee. I have my coffee and I'm ready to go.
Yeah,
I'll start.
Oops.
And I really appreciate being invited to spend some time with the Techy Doctor. The combination of your medical background and your medical training, and then the technology side is just really interesting to me. I myself, I work for Agatha, we're a software vendor. So I'm a doctor too, not literally, only a master's degree, but only on the technical side. So thank you for having me.
Okay, thank you for your kind introduction. When I was several years ago working in a prototype of an eTMF system, the first thing that was very interesting for me was the reference model, the TMF reference model. And it was like a guidance on how to structure all the information in that department or in that process, a group of processes. Could you please tell us something about this reference model? Is this really important?
I think it's, as a starting point, one of the most important things is to understand the reference model and to work within its construct. Now, it is important to understand what it is. A trial master file, according to the regulations, is the set of files required to prove the science in the experiment. So that's technically the regulation. You must have all the documents so you can reconstruct the study or the experiment. So it's almost like lab notes, but it's for a big study. So that's not defined exactly what should be in it from the regulatory side, but very smart people came up with the regulatory model, the reference model. And the reference model is a superset of all the typical files and documents that go into a trial master file. A specific study won't use the whole reference model. In English, I use the word a superset. It's the biggest collection of documents, but in actual study, you'll use a subset, not every item, because maybe you're a biotech, maybe you're a medical device company. But it simplifies everything because it has the same structure in terms of folders, and it has the same names in terms of artifacts. So it becomes the language of a trial master file. And I just think it's essential that anyone doing clinical studies today base their TMF on the reference model.
Thank you for your explanation. So our key to success in the inspection readiness, what is this inspection readiness? Because this inspection readiness means for me that we have to always be ready for a sudden inspection or some auditor that comes to inspect or review our system. It is something that we should be always aware of or be prepared for that, because in the past we had a warning or a notice in advance, like 1 month. So we could start a group of people starting to prepare everything, to clean in papers, to record into the system all the pending forms and processes, etc. So this is something that, could you please explain us your opinion or your point of view about the inspection readiness?
Yeah, I absolutely will and can. And you've really nailed it. You understand. 10 years ago, you might be in the middle of a study, know an inspection is coming, and say, hey, everybody, in 30 days in the States, the FDA is going to inspect us. Therefore, get ready, clean up everything, make sure all the documents are final, they're in the right place, they're organized, and our files are ready to be viewed. Everyone recognized that's not the best way to do things. It wastes time, and it means that you're trying to reconstruct things rather than doing it right at the as you go along. So inspection readiness, as you said, is just being ready all the time. Picture in the military, if you live in the barracks, the dorm, you must be ready. Your bed and your locker must be ready for inspection by the sergeant at any time, not just when he says he's coming, because he's not going to tell you he's coming. Another metaphor that I've heard discussed a lot is like a child's room. Anyone with a young man as a child knows, boy, are they messy. And they will clean it up as a batch if you beg them, but they don't keep it organized and clean. Inspection readiness means keep it organized and clean, and it's always ready. And the biggest thing to point out, this is my last point, is that it's now a requirement. This isn't nice to do. In ICH, good clinical practice definitions, this is specifically in the E6 section, it says you will maintain your TMF in a state of inspection readiness. So now you have to do it this way. That's a big change, Pedro.
Those are the main differences between the current eTMF systems and the system that we were using 10 years ago, right?
Yeah, if I look 10 years ago, eTMF's electronic trial master files were much less prevalent, and people tended to just store the documents somewhere on a shared file or something like that, a shared folder, and do this cleanup and say, oh, there's 3 copies of that document. How are they different? Which is the real one? Clean it up, clean it up, clean it up. And now it's maintained all the time in an eTMF.
Yeah, but currently, is it allowed to let the auditors or inspectors to take a look inside your system?
Yeah, and it's the best practice. So one way to handle an inspection with an electronic system is to put all the files in one place, perfect files, reorganize them. Here's a better method. Or actually, I should interrupt myself, and some people print them out and say, here's all the files. But here's a better method. You have an electronic system, and of course it has access roles and rights that only certain people can see certain things. So you create a role called inspector or auditor. That inspector or auditor logs right into the system, but can only see final documents, doesn't see everything else in process, sees final documents, and then says, let me see the audit trail for this document. Let me see the signature. That's a best practice. And it can also be done remotely, which is a huge advantage.
Mm-hmm. I see. So how can the eTMF system contribute to the inspection readiness now? Is it an important role, factor, a key to success?
You know, I always try to point out when I think I have a prejudice. I've been in this technology space for quite some time. Even before I had white hair, I was in this space. So I have a prejudice, and I want to be transparent about that. But still, I'm a fair person, and I think it's almost impossible to maintain inspection readiness without an electronic trial master file. And here's why. It's kind of unfortunate that we call an eTMF an eTMF. We should call it something else, because it makes it sound like it's just the files, electronic files. But an eTMF system isn't just a place to put the files. It manages the process. It's a process management system. The process of creating a document, the process of reviewing and approving it, the process of signing off on it, the process of replacing it. All those things are processes, and they're controlled in an eTMF. And those processes create byproducts. The byproduct is the audit trail. The byproduct is the electronic signature. And a byproduct is there's only one final version of every document. Mm-hmm. So to me, yes, an eTMF isn't just a nice to have for inspection. It's not that you can't manage a trial master file manually, you can, but maintaining inspection readiness, boy, I don't see how to do that without some kind of process management system.
Okay, so do you really need an eTMF system to ensure inspection readiness, or can you do it without it?
The only exception I would make is a small organization, let's say a young biotech or med device company. It's a venture-backed firm, it's very young, and it's doing its very first study, and it's a 3-site study. It's very simple. I could see them accomplishing it. But as soon as you're in a many sites, multiple studies, no, I just don't see how to do it without an eTMF.
I see. Because in the recent years, past years, they have been appearing a lot of new eTMF systems, and they have been evolving a long time. So yeah. Taking a look at all the systems on the market now, which are the main differences between all of those eTMF systems?
You know, this one is a place where I get very passionate, and I think what I say isn't what you would expect me to say. Most software vendors would say, my product is the best, my product is different, my product has this feature or that function. If we think of a car, today we compete on features in a car. How much auto driving does it have? And when I was young, it was, does it have anti-lock brakes? Does it have cruise control? And I can tell you about the use of AI coming into eTMFs. But for the most part, what an eTMF does, whether it's Agatha's or another vendor's, is work in compliance with the regulatory requirements like 21 CFR Part 11 in the States or Annex 11 in the EU, that it allows you to create documents and artifacts, track them through versions, put them through review and approval cycles, collect electronic signatures, and have an audit trail for everything. That is fundamentally what every eTMF does, including ours. So here's my point. The differences between the vendor solutions is less today about features, and it's more about some other factors that I think are very important. And to me, at least as a vendor, the things we focus on are usability, because some of these systems, as you said, are evolved systems from 25 years ago, and they look like it. I like to joke that every system out there seems to look like a SharePoint-based system, lots of lists and lots of complexity. So usability is huge because it prevents successful implementation. When existing CRAs and nurses and others say, I don't want to use this system, it's too complicated, it scares me, then you're in trouble. So usability is huge. And two other things, the ease of implementation. The prior generations of these systems sometimes took not just weeks, but months or even a year to go from starting to implement it to in production and validated. Can you imagine a year of just putting the system in place? That only works for the biggest companies. Small biotech can't afford the people and resources to spend a year getting a system in place. So today we're looking at systems that are apps that are ready to use and in production within a matter of weeks. And the last factor, of course, that you would probably ask me about is price. So it's not about features, it's about usability, speed of implementation, and price. Those are the big differentiators today, Pedro.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, price is sometimes or many times a key factor to discriminate or to not selecting a very big one eTMF system, but companies sometimes are very restricted in the budget and how much money they could spend on those systems. But not talking about the prices, also some other important factors at the time of choosing an eTMF is not only the product, but also the company, the vendor behind that product. The type of consulting they are doing, how they integrate their teams into the company or the client's teams, how they will going to support them, how do they will train them, or help them to develop their own the new SOPs, to start integrating the risk management, etc. So this is also important how they will integrate people from other departments and all the key stakeholders, because for me it's very important.
Yeah, I'd like to just respond to that, and mostly to tell you how much I agree. And your company, Arithmos, and my company, Agatha, are great examples. So we are a pure software vendor. We provide the software, we help with the technology, and we're really good at what we do. But if a customer came to us and said, should we use the reference model? What should be in our eTMF? We wouldn't know the answer. So we are very specific at what we do. Companies like Arithmos have much more expertise. We don't have a Techy Doctor. Arithmos has a Techy Doctor. And that ability to talk to not just the technology, but the surrounding problems and processes, I think is essential. And frankly, that's why we partner with companies like Arithmos, because we know some customers need that help. And it's not what we do. We do the technology, and for some customers, that's fine. Just give me the software. But for many customers, they need expertise that goes beyond that. So you guys are an ideal partner for us for that reason.
Yeah. One of the last questions I have for you is, what the role of processes play when it comes to using the eTMF system for ensuring the inspection readiness? Which different type of roles in the client, and mostly the processes, because processes they are everything. Because I think that you first have to define all the processes. Maybe some are re-engineering, but before applying the IT, you have to be very clear. You have to be all the people trained, etc. So how do you think is this the way to go? Also with the eTMF systems?
The key thing that you're saying that I agree so much with is that the implementation of any new system, including an eTMF, is not just a story of installing an application. It's a project that affects process, people, and technology. And addressed any other way, the risk goes up enormously. There's always, for the last 20 years, an annual metric on technology project failures. What percentage of technology initiatives fail in the industry? I forget who publishes this number, but it's still a remarkable number. Don't quote me, but I think it's still around 50% of new technology initiatives fail. And why do they fail? It's not usually because of the technology, it's because of the process, the planning, and the project side. I have a simple example I give here, and it probably is too transparent because it reveals things about me. But many of us sometimes think, you know, I should exercise more. So we go out and we get a piece of exercise equipment. We get a nice exercise bike, a Peloton. We get a ski machine. We get a rowing machine. We go get the machine, and then 3 months later we find, you know, we're still not exercising. We're not in any better shape because the technology didn't solve the problem. We also needed the motivation, the discipline, the process changes in our life of when we're going to do it. It's a little simple, but I just agree so much that a proper implementation includes all these different things, identifying the stakeholders, making the project plan, figuring out the impact on each person and what their role is going to be, who's going to be adding these documents, who is in the reviewer step, etc. So I think it's just unbelievably important. And again, that's why we partner with people like Arithmos. Is that what you were thinking of when you say process, those types of things?
Yeah. Thanks a lot. Do you have any question for me?
I do. I've been looking forward to my appointment with the Techy Doctor, because, you know, everything has to be virtual, and all my doctor appointments have been virtual. So I've never done one with someone from Madrid before. So it's a lot of fun. So I wanted to talk to you about your own experience implementing technology solutions, not just eTMF, but any technology solution. And it's about who should be involved, because we focus on just the technical people and the CRAs who enter the documents. But if you were building a project for a company and said, here's the list of the team members and stakeholders, what kind of roles would be involved?
As much as you could get.
Easy.
Yeah, because I think that these systems are used globally at the company. And I think that all departments or all groups of peoples or teams should be aware of what's going on with the change that will come. Because sometimes some group of people are client to other people in the same company. So they must be aware of what they are expecting from each other. And if we're using an IT tool to share information between them, everyone should be on the same page at the time of the training, they define the new processes, to start talking about the list of new SOPs to be prepared, the vendor selection, the new risk management topics that they will be addressing, everything. So when we were talking about implementing new system in my past companies, you should, from the lower level people up to the upper management, everyone, you should talk with all of them and have champions in every group of people, enthusiastic people that will believe that the new system will really help them, everyone, to succeed in every processes, and they will be, even if it will cost a lot at the beginning, in training, in invest time to learn, to prepare new forms, etc., to learn new processes. It will save a lot of time to everyone eventually. So at the end of the implementation phase, because it will save time, errors, and it will be a very useful tool for, in this case, to have it ready for inspections at every time, not after a month of cleaning very quickly. So every time you will be ready, and it will give you a lot of relax, because you know that everything is in the good shape.
So I have one follow-on question, if you don't mind, and it's to see if we agree on something, Pedro. I'm asking you this question, and of course you're doing this in English, and I say thank you, because my Spanish is un poco. Is that right? Not much. So I'm asking you a pop-up question in English, which is, if we're assembling that team and we want to get as many people involved as possible and have stakeholders across the board, I hear you. Is there any one role on that team that you think is the critical one? Get this one right. Don't mess up on this one role. Is it the CEO support? Is it the manager of the project? What would you choose as the single most critical role?
Very, very good question. You mean the role that won't fail, or the role that should be always present in the global team? You mean?
I mean the role that if you get it wrong, if you make a mistake, you don't get the support, or you hire the wrong person, or you empower the wrong person, your project's really going to have trouble. What's your choice?
I think it will be the project manager for that new implementation.
Oh, damn, we agree. I was hoping you would disagree, but yes, this is my experience, and I spent a lot of time finding this person, and I'm going to describe my ideal for you, and it might be a little sexist because it's almost always female. Because females are smarter and better than males at this, at many things. But if I can find the right person, manager, senior manager level, who's a rising star, they have lots of places to go in their career, they're quite ambitious, they're very smart and detail oriented, and they want to do this. It's like, this is cool. I'd love to do this. I know my project's going to go okay. If I get someone else who's like, I don't know. I don't really. Then I know
Yeah.
I'm in trouble. I have to have that dynamo as the leader. So we agree very much.
Have a last question for you, Ken.
Oh,
What's the impact of the eTMF adoption on the team in general? We need more people or different roles there involved. How can we manage this transition, the change management of these processes?
it's really fascinating you asked me this today, because just yesterday I was dealing with a pharmaceutical company that wants to move forward on an eTMF, but they're very hesitant because they say they can't hire anyone to operate it. So in their mind, it's like a piece of equipment. I am getting a new bulldozer, a backhoe, and I need someone to sit on it and operate it. And I'm really working hard to help them understand this is not the case. This is a change in everyone's way of working, but it's not a new job for someone. And in fact, if you make it one person's job and you say, you're the document manager, then frankly, you're doing it wrong, because you're still using the cleanup model. If you think of it, you're just cleaning all the time. What you have to do is change everyone's role, who's a CRA or a CRC or a senior CRA, who's collecting those documents, and say, here's where you put them. Here's how you do it in this eTMF. Here's how you name them, and the system will help you name them. So it's a strong statement, but I truly believe that a proper eTMF will not reduce your headcount. It won't save you money in headcount, but it also won't cost you money in headcount. It's a change for everyone, but it shouldn't result in any new hires. But as you said, we need everyone involved because everyone's affected, and especially the CRAs who manage those files today, who fax them, collect them, get signatures. They're the key. It will change their jobs dramatically. And if we do it right, they'll like their jobs more because it's easier than doing it with paper. So that's my answer, Pedro.
Yeah, thank you very much, Ken. I think we are running out of time and it's time to wrap up. Thanks for joining today in this eTMF systems, the key to inspection readiness. And thanks everyone for watching this. It's the first episode of this series, the first appointment of this series. I hope to see you in the next appointments, and we will also please send us all your questions that you may have. I think that you will have all the information available in the references in the metadata of this video. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you soon. Goodbye.
Bye, and thank you, Pedro. See you next time.
Welcome. Bye-bye.